What is going on, everybody? The Original Mako back, finally, with another Shark Scale. It's been a while, but that's because I was watching Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, as you can probably tell. A slightly longer one. I've also been watching House of the Dragon, Classroom of the Elite, that's released. There's a lot of things I've been watching, so I couldn't just spam through this one, but we finally did get through it, and now we're going to be talking about it. So, if you don't know what this is, essentially, I am going to be, as you can see here, ranking Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood with a couple of different criteria and putting it on my ginormous list of animes I have watched. Thus, there will be some spoilers. I mean, that is the nature of this. When I'm going to be talking about it, there will be some spoilers. But if you came and you're like, oh, I just want to maybe like a review, like, should I watch this? Yes, is the answer. If you like shonen, if you like adventure, watch it. It's worth it. There's your recommendation. Now, let's start talking about it, and we might get into some spoilers, so fair warning. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. It is a great show, okay? I think it's got a lot of really, really good qualities, and this might be a little out there on this take, but I think it might be the first anime there's not many examples, but it's the first time I watched an anime, and I think it's overrated. Now, before you get out the knives and pitchforks, listen. This is rated as the highest rated anime of all time on my anime list. It is ranked as the highest. Okay? It's a great anime, and I enjoyed it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. But when I see something ranked as the best overall thing in a category full of just so much work, I'm expecting to be fucking mind blown away by how good something is in the show. Whether it's Demon Slayer has its animations, Attack on Titan has the story and the world building. Those are the two good examples. I mean, Fate has its animation. Tokyo P has its animation. Anyway, this is not my favorite anime I've watched in any category. Any of these categories we're going to talk about, it's not at the top of my list. It's good. It's good. But the last time I watched a show purely based on recommendations, it was Attack on Titan, and I was not let down. I don't think Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood let me down, because I still enjoyed every second of it, but I think I was just expecting a little bit more considering how high it was rated. But that being said, let's go ahead and talk about these categories, shall we? As you can see, we've got 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Math. Characters, story, world, the music / soundtrack, all the OST, official soundtrack, animation, and my overall enjoyment, which once again is very important. I should probably just weight this one higher, but regardless. Anyway, let's talk about it. Characters. So Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, I think, does a great job, especially, it's a longer anime, but not long. It's only 64 episodes. I think anything over like 50 is considered long, so it's longer, but not long. And considering that it's, less than 100 episodes, not even close to 100, it does a really good job of having a good cast of side characters and a lovable, enjoyable cast of main characters, while also not being afraid to kill off characters, which I think is important for any show. The shows in my life that I've enjoyed the most are the shows that are not afraid to kill off characters, okay? Game of Thrones, Full Metal Alchemist. I'm not going to spoil this, but Naruto is not afraid to kill off characters. So it just keeps you on your toes because it makes you have a sense of feeling like nobody's safe, which is what you want. The reason One Punch Man is down here is because I was so unentertained watching it. The humor was okay in One Punch Man, but I knew what was going to happen every fucking time. He just beats the hell out of everybody. there's no fun, there's no strife, there's no back and forth. It's just, which I know it's like a satire, whatever. Anyway, in Full Metal Alchemist, they do a great job. All of the 7 deadly sins have great backstories. Well, they have the same backstory, but you get a moments with each of them, and they all have their own moment to shine. Some more than others. Greed, wrath, for example. Envy has a lot of time on screen. Hohenheim and the father of the 7 deadly sins. That little interchange between them, with starting out in the flask and then getting out of the flask and creating himself from Hohenheim was really good. The fact that Hohenheim ends up at the very end of the show finally A, popping off in his fight, and then B, actually becoming like a father figure to Ed and Al is a really cool character progression for Hohenheim. So I thought that was really good. Hawkeye, Colonel Mustang is an amazing character. The Armstrongs, both Armstrongs, I really, really like General Armstrong, the woman, the leader of Briggs. She was a phenomenal character, absolute badass. I loved the way she ran Fort Briggs. So the characters were great. I think they had a ton of great characters. In terms of all of the shows I've watched, this show probably comes in second in terms of its how much I enjoy the characters and like how in depth they go with some of the side characters. Only second to Dr. Stone. Dr. Stone just, I've never seen a show that has such good side characters as Dr. Stone, as well as the main characters. So I'm going to put this pretty high up there. I'm going to give it a 97 on the characters. And I talked about all the side characters. Ed and Al were great as main characters as well. There's a lot of progression with them, a lot of learning, a lot of likable features about both of them. The only character that I wish would have had, well, there's two. I wish Hohenheim would have had maybe just a little bit more screen time. And what's her face? Tatsumi, Ed and Al's teacher. Because she was kind of nuts, but we only saw her a few times. So anyway, that's what we have for characters. Next up, story. So the story was good. It takes a couple of twists and turns here and there with the whole Philosopher's Stone thing, learning about it, and then Ed and Al not wanting to use it, and then the Portal of Truth and what the Portal of Truth really is, and then this weird creature that created the 7 deadly sins, which you're initially led to believe is Ed and Al's dad, but it's not. So there's a couple of fun little twists there, and it's an interesting story. It's not like Demon Slayer, which lacks extremely in its story. It's just a kid fighting demons to save his sister. I mean, that's not that crazy, but they're on an adventure to try to get their bodies back, and they find out that the entire country is going to be a circle, the hell's it called? Transmutation circle, and they have to like save the country, and they've been working under the Fuhrer the whole time. Turns out the Fuhrer is one of the 7 deadly sins. Turns out the Fuhrer's son is one of the 7 deadly sins. There's a lot of really fun parts to this story. It's not mind-blowing and just, I wasn't sitting on the edge of my seat like I have to know what happens next. I need to, like I was with Attack on Titan, for example. But overall, it was a great storyline. And, like I said, the twists were fun and kind of interesting, and a couple of the main characters. I didn't even talk about Winry and the characters. She's a great character. A couple of characters get put in danger, and it keeps you excited for the next episodes. Not edge of your seat, falling over, I have to know excited, but still excited. So story, I don't think they did as great of a job as with like the characters, but I am going to give it a pretty high score, up at the 94. World is next on the list here. The world I thought was great. It's automatically a plus when you're not just in like the real world, like you're not just in present day Japan or present day America, whatever. They have their own region with Amestris and Xing, which you can see the map a few times. The world building is obviously really cool because it's a pivotal part of the story. You've got these 5 main points that make up the different points for the transmutation circle. It's fleshed out really well. Once again, you have a whole country of Xing where you get Ling and Mei, and they have their own thing going on, but it also kind of intertwines with the Mistress. And then you have the Ishfallen and all of the backstory on the Ishfallen, which is also another great piece of the character part. And like I said, the world itself is kind of the big plot point of the entire show, right? Because you've got the giant transmutation circle in order to absorb God with the energy created by sacrificing everybody within a Mistress. So they did a great job with world building. It's once again, it's not just a typical, everyday Japan. It's interesting. It's a huge part of the story, and the world as a whole feels complete and, like I said, important. It's not just there to be there. It's an important part. The alchemy, which is part of the world building, is really interesting. You've got, alchemy, you've got normal alchemy, you've got the reverse transmutation circle that was figured out by Scar's brother. All this stuff leads to a really complete and fun world to be a part of. And I think it was very well done, like top notch. So I'm going to give it 98 for world. I don't think it's quite 100. I don't think it can quite get to like Attack on Titan level of world building, which is the benchmark. Attack on Titan has 100s in story and world. So that's where I'm kind of gauging it based off of that. It doesn't quite get there just because it just doesn't go quite as in depth as something like Attack on Titan, I don't think, but it is very good and one of the better worlds to kind of be a part of. Next up, the music and soundtrack. So in terms of openings and endings, the endings were nothing to write home about. They were okay, but not great. The first opening is like a top 3, top 5 type of song in all of openings that I've heard. So that one was great. And then they had a couple of other banger openings. In terms of during the show, the OST was pretty good. It wasn't my favorite, like the fight soundtrack, the combat soundtrack wasn't my favorite. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't like suspenseful, like super suspenseful or just, ready to fight type of soundtrack. But overall, the OST, I think in general added, it didn't take away from the show. It definitely added a little bit, but it's just not special. Except for that first opening, and they had a couple of pretty good openings, but it's not, I'm not going to be able to break the 90s on the music, I don't think, but I think I can give it a solid 85, right in the middle of the 80s. Like I said, I just wish the battle soundtrack, like the combat scene soundtracks, were just a little bit more oomph, I guess, to try to describe it. So we'll go 85 on the music. And next, we have the animation. Animation style was fine. It was good, nice, clean, smooth to look at. Fight scenes were animated pretty well. Some of them got just a little too jumpy and all over the place, but they were cool. The last 20 episodes, it's basically just fights, just straight fights the whole time, which is cool, and there's a lot of cool ones in there. The alchemy looks cool, but it's not super. Once again, I have benchmarks for each of these categories, and our benchmark peak animation is Demon Slayer, and the fights just look so clean in Demon Slayer, and there's definitely a solid jump down when it comes to Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Not crazy, like I said, they're smooth, they're clean to look at. There's a lot of really fun fights that are animated well. Unfortunately for me, one of my favorite fights was so early in the show, and there were a couple late that came close to it and maybe even beat it, but the Fuhrer in the sewers early in the show when you first kind of find out that he's not really who he says he is. That fight was really, really cool. But like I said, there were a lot of other good ones as well. Like I said, the alchemy looked cool. And yeah, I think overall it was a just solid set of animation. I'm going to go just sub 90 just because the fights, like I said, they could get a little jumpy and all over the place as opposed to just staying super focused and seeing everything happen, which you want it to jump around a little bit, but I think sometimes it just got a little too much. So I'm going to go ahead and give it, oh, hold on, a gnat. I'm going to go ahead and give it a 89, right on the cusp of breaking the 90. And now we get to overall enjoyment. And like I said, I enjoyed this show a lot. I think I absolutely would rewatch. I said think again. I would rewatch this for sure. It was, there was good comedy. The comedy occasionally was a little over the top, like a little too much. Just dial it back. But for the most part, it was good. It was funny. Like I said, the story kept me entertained. The characters were all interesting, and it was easy to get wrapped into the characters and care about them. The world was really easy to get into as well, and like I said, it felt complete and full. It has a ending, like it's ended, so that contributes to overall enjoyment because I don't have to worry about waiting to see something else or if there will be another season or anything. So having a clean ending contributes to my overall enjoyment. Part of that clean ending is, thank God, like one of the last scenes is Winry and Ed admitting that they want to be together and like each other. Thank God for that, because if that wouldn't have happened, I would have been pissed. They were teasing at it the whole show. So finally that happened, which was great. They get their bodies back. Ed has to give up alchemy for it, but it's all, Hohenheim. The resolve, like Hohenheim's character resolution was top tier. Because once again, you kind of see him originally as the bad guy, and then you realize, wait a minute, he's different from the guy who created the 7 deadly sins. And you think, oh, he's a bad father or whatever. But then he sacrifices everything for his kids. And he talks about how, he's immortal, so he's been living this whole time. And, he hated watching everybody that he cared about die before him. And then finally, he has this moment where he's like, man, I wish I could keep going on and living now. But he lost his Philosopher's Stone. And he was at the grave of his wife, Ed and Al's mom, Trisha, and that's where he died. So it was kind of just a really bittersweet moment for his character. Was really, really good. So overall, the enjoyment was fantastic. I can't put it in 100. Like I said, there was never a moment I was on the edge of my seat and I had to get to the next one. Like the closest recent example I have is Hunter x Hunter, because I can specifically remember moments during the York New City arc when I was sitting on the couch over there and I was like, I should be going to bed, but I'd watch like 3 more episodes. Like I could not stop going to the next episode because it was that good. With Full Metal Alchemist, every time it wasn't like I have to watch the next one. I was like, okay, I can go to bed and we'll watch more tomorrow. So I'm going to give it a 93 for overall enjoyment. Like I said, I mean, these are fantastic numbers and they're really, it's really high up there. But considering it's ranked as the best anime of all time, I was just maybe think it's overhyped just a little bit, but it's still a fantastic show, and I absolutely recommend watching it. So let's go ahead, bust out the calculator, and get our totals here. And then we can see where it ranks. There, divided by 600, a 92.7. 92.7 out of 100. That's not bad. That is not bad. All right, let's go ahead and cut. And then, whoops, back that up. 92.7. Let's scroll up, shall we? And it is going to get put almost there. Oh, just under Darling in the Franxx. It just cracks the top 10. And you know what's crazy? Demon Slayer is not below a 90. Actually, it should be below a 90 in story. I should probably fix that. Anyway, it's not below a 90 anywhere, and FMAB still beats it. So let's go ahead and move that down, and we will put in Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood at rounding out our top 10 right now. Just 0.1 below Darling in the Franxx. That's kind of wild. So there we have it. Full Metal Alchemist rounding out the top 10. And once again, the top 10 is a very, very contested category. I'm rewatching this right now with Archie. This might get reevaluated. We might do like a tag team shark scale for this one. I don't know if it'll change too much, honestly. It's still really good. But yeah, most of the top 3 are probably not going anywhere. I should probably reevaluate this one just because at the time I ranked it, I was being very, 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 very biased and not very objective. But that's a long story. Anyway, there we have it. Full Metal Alchemist rounding out our top 10. Great show. Highly recommend it. Once again, anything that's in the 90s is going to be something I would recommend. Also, let me make sure the rest of the pages are all chilling. Okay, I think we should be good. That was 40. We've watched 43 animes now. Wait, this is not good. Why is this? Whoa. Hold up. Okay, this can go back. Oh, is that all I needed to do? Oh, okay. That's all I needed to do. Next up, we're going to have a couple more shark scales coming out relatively soon. I always like to watch shorter ones after I watch a longer one. So we've got, I don't know the exact order. Well, I do know the next one. The next one's going to be Death Parade. And then after that, I'm not sure which we're going to go next. I'm thinking Vinland Saga and maybe one other one before we do another long one. So hopefully you enjoyed this. Let me know your thoughts on Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood down below. Like I said, I think it was great, but I think it was just maybe slightly overhyped, but still a fantastic show. So regardless, thank you guys so much for your support, as always. Hopefully you'll have a wonderful rest of your day. I love each and every one of your faces, and I will catch you all in the next video.